Before beginning, make sure to take the time to fill out a tailgate and have all team members sign and understand what they'll be doing for the day. Before doing any crane work, make sure to do a crane inspection and fill out the logbook. In this video, we're going to do an R32A tactic by deploying a crucial skimmer from a bay boat. This tactic requires at least 3 people, 1 to run the crane and 2 to run the deck equipment. It may also require a 4th person to operate the boat or maintain a steady course and heading. Before beginning, make sure the crane operator and signalman have discussed proper signs and communication. The boom arm and skirt must be deployed before putting the skimmer in the water. The T-slide for the skirt must be placed into the groove of the boat and gently worked down as the crane is lowering to make sure it goes in all the way. There are 3 clips that fasten the skirt to the boom arm for retrieval and deployment. The black one on the stern or the float end, the white one in the middle of the skirt, and then a red one that is connected to the T-slide. All 3 of these must be removed so the skirt can deploy properly. When not in use, make sure the crane hook is stowed up and out of the way to avoid becoming a hazard. To deploy the boom, 1 person must be on the bow, pulling in the line. A 2nd person will be running the winch, paying out line so that the skirt can extend properly. When pulled to just forward of 90 degrees off the boat, the bow line can be fastened to the cleat and enough line paid out to put a nice pocket in the skirt. If necessary, put the boat in gear to give yourself a little forward momentum to fill out the skirt properly. Make sure all lines are secured to the boat to avoid going overboard and getting in the props. To prepare the skimmer for deployment, make sure the hydraulic lines are uncoiled and laid out on deck, the lid is removed, and the cap is taken off of the pump. Have the crane operator center the hook over the skimmer and winch down to the lifting straps. Before you put the skimmer overboard, you must hook up your discharge hose and have it tied off to pump water. When lifting the skimmer, make sure the shackles are all straight and none of the cables are hung up on different parts of the equipment. When putting the skimmer in the water, the brushes go forward towards the bow and the attachment hooks go next to the boat. The J-hooks slide into the D-rings on the skimmer and drop down into the receiving ports on the side of the boat. When lowering the skimmer, make sure the D-rings slide freely along the J-hooks until the skimmer is all the way in the water. There are hydraulic controls on both the port and starboard sides of the boat, but if you hook up to the same side that your skimmer is on, you can visually inspect the trough and the discs while you're skimming. When operating in rougher weather, make sure the J-hooks are secured to the boat to ensure that they don't pop out and get lost. After the hydraulic lines are hooked up, begin by operating the discs and ensure that they are operating in the correct direction. Inspect the trough to make sure that water is filling it up, then operate the pump to begin removing water. Make sure your discharge hose is free of any bends or twists that might prevent water from pumping out. The stern davit and winch are used to hold up the hose to take the strain off of the skimmer. The ideal skimming speed is about a knot to a knot and a half with boom and skirt out. You can also use the winch to make minor adjustments to how the skirt stands in the water. When you are ready to retrieve the skimmer, the first thing to do is unhook the hydraulics and make sure to check for any leaks or drips. The hydraulic fittings are all hand tight, but sometimes after use, they get bound up and it takes an extra person to break them free. The first thing to do is remove the J-hooks from the side of the boat and store them over and out of the way. When raising the skimmer, make sure that the hydraulic lines and the discharge lines are all free and not getting pinched between the boat and the skimmer. When placing the skimmer on deck, make sure it is stored properly so you can still access both engine room compartments and the stern lazarette. Replace the cover, remove the discharge hose, and recoil the hydraulic lines back on top of the skimmer for proper storage. Retrieve the boom and skirt, begin by untying the forward bow line, then using the winch to help fold the skirt up and pull the boom in next to the boat. Winch in until the shackles are all the way pulled up and the skirt as tight as possible to the boom arm. The 3 clips must be reinstalled to lift the entire unit out of the water. They are color coded red, white, and black to make them easier to figure out where they go. The black clip, located on the end of the float, is sometimes easier to do after it's been pulled partway out of the water so you can reach it better. When lifting up the boom and skirt, make sure that the T-slide comes out smoothly and none of the skirt pockets get bound up underneath the D-rubber on the side of the boat. Once the skirt has cleared the rail, swing inboard slightly and set the boom arm down until the float is resting on the side of the boat. When put away, make sure all lines are coiled and stowed properly to avoid going overboard and getting into the wheels. Adjust the skirt and T-slide so that you can still have access to your engine room compartments. Make sure everything is stowed properly and strapped down carefully before transporting or traveling. Stow the crane and replace the crane cover when you're done with your crane work for the day. Everything should be stowed properly, tied down and secured, and your deck clear, ready for transport. When you're finished with your tactic, make sure you log it into your vessel light off and keep your running log going.